Hey, how your mom and them? We're gonna do how your mom and them because this is Far Reaches Extra, FRX as we call it. And this one, my friends, this one is long overdue and one I've been looking forward to since day one, since even before we had sponsorship conversations. Today we have the illustrious Mr. Bow Boston of B&K. I've had the pleasure of knowing Bo for quite a few years, and he still talks to me. So I think we're good there. We met quite a while ago in the great city of Pendleton and have been friends ever since. So, Bo, thank you so much. Welcome to Far Reaches Extra, my good sir.
Yeah, thanks for bringing me on. You're ballsy.
So are you. I think that's what we both
Did you
appreciate.
lose me? Oh,
Yeah, yeah, just a little. I think there's a slight delay.
definitely.
We'll work through that. Yeah, God knows we've never had technical difficulties on Far Reaches before. So, yeah, this will be a first time for us. Yeah. So,
Oh
well,
man.
as those of you who've watched before, Far Reaches Extra is kind of when we go, usually just one of the reachers, and we go a little one-on-one with someone who we want to get to know a lot more about, and maybe someday talk him into coming on with the full crew. We've had Randy Brocker from Roundup Board, uh, Joel just did JD Kendall a while ago, Eastern Oregon musician. That was great. We've done a lot of different people, and so Bo is kind of the key role at B&K, one of our main sponsors, and like I said at the very beginning, like we would be having Bo on even if he wasn't a sponsor, just for all the moving and the shaking this guy's always doing. Bo, to tell a story, like when I first met you, you were driving the Suburban around Roundup, man. Like that's my first memories. Um, and I was like, that's a
Yeah,
surprising young man right there.
that was
This guy's got it going on.
that was for I think that was for Stony LaRue, if I'm correct.
Yeah, yeah,
For
absolutely.
wheat stock.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, just like rocking it. So great, and a lot of the fans, like we just we had a podcast just last night, released this morning, and it started out with just Joel and I. And Joel, being Joel, he's like, dude, I usually don't listen a lot when you're talking, and I'm like, that's probably smart. But he goes, I want to know more about this B&K. Can you tell me about B&K? And I'm like, yeah. So we kind of wandered through several scenarios, but I think it's even better since we have you here now. If you want to give us a little kind of history of B&K and maybe some of your role, and we're just going to deep dive a little bit more into what all you guys do and where you're at and why the hell you wanted to be associated with the Far Reaches podcast. So I'm going to kick it to you a little bit and
Cool.
kind of just dribble the line along.
Awesome. Well, B&K has been around 40, 50 years now. Um, the back history on it, I'm not the best at because I really haven't been around long enough to know it all. But the Goss family actually owned the auto salvage
Really?
for quite a while. Yeah. And Milo Goss, I got the pleasure of working with him when I first started back in 2012. He was still around slinging parts from the counter there, and he had sold the business to Jake Hansen. The Hansen family had purchased it. Jake had been an employee for him for quite a while, and decided it was his time to make a run at it and see if he could better himself with it, and did a really good job with that. And then in 2012, the opportunity opened up to add a scrapyard to the facility.
Mm-hmm.
So now, from being just an auto salvage, we now become an auto salvage and scrap metal recycling facility. They go hand in hand really well, and that was kind of the reason for it. And it was a good way for the Hansen family to diversify their business at that point, and kind of step out of a single lane of traffic and open her up to two lanes to see where it'd take them. So
Yeah,
that's kind of,
especially when they're so kind of closely related. Like you said, I think it's a good pivot to kind of bring those both together. But certainly probably a much different business also.
it is. It is, and that's where I got my opportunity. little back history, I guess, on myself in the scrap industry. I used the scrap metal industry to kind of more or less pay for my extra fuel through high school and chasing the women around P-Town, you know.
Absolutely.
And then as college came around and I was going to Tumbleweed Tech there on the hill in Pendleton at Blue Mountain, same thing. You need that extra fuel money, needed some money to pay the bills for schooling. And it fit. The market was really strong then. To be honest, it was easy to be a scrap metal recycler back in 2010 to 2012 when I was in school there at Blue Mountain, just because the prices were so high. You really couldn't go wrong. And I was offered the opportunity to roll in and kind of help start and build that recycling side. And part of that was through a partnership with United Metals that B&K had made at that point in time in 2012. And my grandpa had been hauling scrap to United Metals for over 40 years at that point in time. And so I kind of leaned on my grandpa and drug along his coattails and ended up in the right office with the right guy and, you know, got the opportunity, whereas most folks probably would have got overlooked. So,
yeah, I mean, if you
anyway.
got that network, that's the smart thing to do, you know. So you got to take every advantage you can find, and if you're willing to put that work in and go get it done, then, you know, more power to you.
Heck yeah. So, yeah, and then from 2012 to now, man, it's been crazy. We started with a 3-man crew, and the auto salvage has always had about a 4 to 7-man crew to make the auto salvage function, between pulling the parts for customers, inventorying those parts, and then actually having your salesmen selling those parts and dealing with the delivery side of things. So we brought on another 4 guys for the scrap side, and just every year it's been a growth process, knocking down doors, asking people, you know, hey, can we help you? How can we better service you? We're more or less a glorified trash service. I come pick up your trash and I pay you some money for it. Like, how does it get any better than that?
Lipstick sanitation services. Like, I take it and I pay you. Like, how can you lose, you know? So yeah, I imagine a lot of people are just like, oh, I didn't even know that was around here. Or, you know, was there a surprisingly, like, a hurdle that surprised you, or either way, like, or was it overly easy in some places? You're just like, oh, wow, I can't hardly keep up.
Well, there was an existing business in LeGrand at the point in time when we went into business. And they were treading lightly with bankruptcy at that point in time. And so it was good timing by us, more or less maybe the needle in the side that kind of helped finish it off. But once they were gone, then at that point we were really the only recycling facility in Union, Wallowa County, that was operating. So at that point, it does become easier due to the lack of competition. But when you're the only show in town, you got to take care of everybody. And small towns,
yes,
they talk. You know that.
I was just talking yesterday, like, bad news travels 10 times faster and 100 times further than good news. So, you know, and then like, you can't hardly. You got to take almost every job, and you have to think too, somebody's looking around like, hey, that guy's got the fat hog. Maybe I should do that too. So you got to keep everybody uptight and spinning plates and, you know, earning that business basically every day. I think almost when you're the only person in town, you got to kick it up a notch, I think.
Yeah, no, 100%. You know, the fun part is 2012 to 2014 was decent. And then in 15, we really saw more or less the commodities start to crash out. Prices fell to some pretty good lows. So was it the best time to be in business for that? I don't know, but I guess that was the benefit of being diversified. What 15 did offer for us, though, the Baker facility, I kind of had my eyes on it. And it was ran by a gentleman, and he had a small crew. And they had that yard in Baker City, and I was looking for some growth for the company, and it was kind of a pivotal point for me. It was either it's time to get a little bigger, or I wanted to go find a different industry that was going to offer me something larger. And I think probably in that time period, I think I interviewed with you for CHS.
I believe so. Yeah, you did. Yeah, I remember we
so
had families, I believe, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, and I remember you were like, we both kind of came to the conclusion like you would kick ass at that job, but you wouldn't be happy at that job. I think, yeah, I probably couldn't pay you enough to go do that job. So, yeah, it was an honor to just get a chance to learn more about you, and have that interview. So it's pretty cool. Yeah.
Yeah. So we ended up making an offer on that facility in Baker City, and kind of went back and forth for a while, and we ended up closing on that thing January 2nd of 2016.
Oh, wow.
So, for starting a facility pretty fresh as far as the recycling side's concerned in LeGrand in 2012, in 4 years to have pretty well locked that market down, established a good customer base, and then been prepared to make the investment in another facility was a pretty big deal for us, being more or less we're just really a small business.
And absolutely. And
so we got the yard, and
it's basically out of nothing. Yeah.
Yeah. And keep in mind, for those of you that don't know, I have a 2-year degree in livestock production with an emphasis in cattle. So the whole finances, marketing, economics, I had a small smidge understanding of what all it takes. But everything just kind of fell into place, and I had the right team, with me, and the guys that have got 10, 15 years worth of age and knowledge on top of me to help, guide those decisions and direct this. None of this took place just by me doing it by any means. Definitely a really skilled, methodically thought out process with a great group of men and women to make it happen. So 6 and the market drops to the worst it's ever been.
Oh, like a rain dance, timing is everything. Yes.
Yeah. So we ran a skeleton crew for almost a year. I had 2 guys plus myself, and we slowly chiseled out. We had what was the existing customer base from the business purchase, but then it was about growing that, expanding that to something that was going to be feasible and have the longevity that we're looking for, being more or less being sustainable as a staple in Baker County. And we got our asses handed to us for a couple of years, back to back to back.
Like sometimes you're like, just because I can, does it always mean I should? That's some soul searching, I'm sure.
I really thought twice about the decision I had made a few times. Questioned the guys that had helped push it through and going, was that the right move? And they just, those guys been around the block a few times, and nothing ventured, nothing gained. So we shoved on through, and the last year and a half, the markets have kind of turned back around and are getting back to where they need to be for us to really be sustainable and grow as a company, and be able to to really support your community in a positive fashion, rather than just being a stick in the mud trying to make it work. So
yeah, I think, but
yeah,
you got to think about all the lessons that were learned in tough times. You know, if you can get through those and still have a business when you come out the other side, you're all the much more better when it turns a little sunnier. You know, and that's always easy to say on the other side of it. But those are the tough lessons you take with, and you know, in 10 years from now, when you go through another cycle like that, you're like, yeah, remember 16, kick to the ass. You know, here's what we got to do, and here's how we approach it. And so I think, in essence, maybe that was some of the best timing, even though it sounds weird to say.
yeah, no, agreed, 100%. You're right on the ball with that. There was a lot of late nights. There was a lot of, I think it goes a lot scrapping. I guess why it works so well for me is it's a lot like cattle ranching, and it's a bit like farming. You know, you could be up at all hours of the night. You've got a shipping date that product is due.
Mm-hmm.
From the cash flow standpoint, I mean, you might sit on product for a couple months, and then again, you may have to sell it as fast as you get it just to try to keep the lights on. Some days there's a link asking for a little more. So yeah, I think that's part of why it was such a good fit.
Yeah,
We've been able to make it work. So
you're not punching the clock. You're getting things done when they have to be. I think to a large degree, you know, the harder you do work and the better job you do, the better the results. And I think that's something that your mindset really attracts to well, of just like that direct feedback of kicking ass, I think.
yeah. Yeah. So we're at like 28 guys now, 26 people between the two facilities. So I'd like to think we're a pretty good staple in Eastern Oregon at this point, and kind of looking towards maybe, you know, venturing towards that Pendleton or Hermiston area one of these days, and maybe trying to bite off another section of Eastern Oregon. I'd love to take it all the way out to Boardman if I could, and just kind of wrap her up.
Yeah, that's a good question. Kind of, what do you consider kind of the home area, I guess, now, or your serviceable area, and maybe where do you see going in the next 5 or 10 years, if you don't want to pull back the sleeves a little bit and give some insight?
Well, so right now I'm based out of Fruitland, Idaho. Our sister company more or less is a regional buyer these days. And so I'm going out, knocking on people's front doors, going into businesses, sitting down with them, trying to figure out what the best way is to clean their product up, and how to move it, put some money in their pocket, and obviously make us some money in the process. So Fruitland has been my center ground, because LeGrand being our farthest west facility, and then Hayburn, Idaho being our farthest east property. Fruitland's given me the opportunity to be able to make it to most of our facilities in a one-day drive there and back fairly comfortably. So, and I think if we went a Hermiston route, I might try to get a little closer back into Oregon. But I tell you what, I really like Idaho.
Yeah,
so
it'd be tough
might be a hard sell.
The People's Republic of Oregon. Yeah, so it's beautiful country.
Queen Kate leaves, I might think about it again.
Yeah, I think that says a lot. It kind of depends on where it leads you. It's I got to ask you a little bit too about your I'm not sure how to describe it, but your daily updates or weekly updates about Scrap Confidential. Tell me a little bit about how that came to be, and what your favorite part about that is, because I really like them. Well,
we have a monthly marketing meeting where we sit down, and there's a group of guys, Brett Eckert, Nick Snyder, Brett Buxton, and Jay Milligan, and Tom Neal from time to time. And we sit down and just do what you guys do during the Far Reaches podcast. Just shoot the shit.
Yeah.
But the point of it is to talk about different customers, talk about different scenarios that have taken place and the outcomes of those and how we can better manage those options or those issues that take place and how to prevent them in the future. And then we look at, our different marketing schemes as to, what's the best way to get the word out that, we're recycling this product. How do we, explain to people that it's green and that, it's good for the environment? Because scrapping has a rough past.
Yeah.
There's a lot of people that attach us to thievery and theft. A lot of people just see oil hitting the ground and gas hitting the ground and rubber tires, stacked to the moon. And, that's what you used to see in your little cartoon books. There'd be a pile of tires next to the big crane.
Junkyard too. It was always called the junkyard,
Yeah. So we're always working, we're always scheming on ways to try to present our business in a cleaner fashion and really be transparent with the customer, with the general public as to the true meaning of what we're doing. And so Facebook, it's free.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of people out there and I don't know how many watch, you see the views and the clicks and the likes and so on and so forth. And, but my goal is if I could get in front of a larger audience, a couple times a week, if not, I try for about 5 days a week during your standard weekday. I try to get in front of a larger audience. Just tell them what's going on. Show them how far we're willing to go, the kind of conditions we're willing to travel and function in. And then the processes that it takes to actually get that product from point A to point B and then to point C. Because some people are like, hey, come get this. It takes a little more than just a phone call and I wave my magic wand and your scrap is gone.
That'd be awesome. Yeah. It might take some of the fun out of it, but I think it's great because it kind of gives insight into every day about what's going on in your world. I think people like that. And I know I do. It's just like, oh, that's cool. Where's Bo at today? And I'm making this loop up through here and going down here and here's some other stuff that we do. So I think it's smart. I think it's cool. I think people dig it. So it was fun to stumble across that. I mean, like, what's this maniac doing now? And I was like, oh, sweet. It's a nice little quick update. It's not like we have to put up with you driving all day long. It's like, it's a few minutes long, just a quick update of howdy, get in front of folks and kind of rattle their cage. And, and like, I think it was Bradbury one day. He's like, hey, I need Bo's number, dude. I got some stuff I got to talk to him about. I'm like, oh, here you go, man. So, I guess I'll just tell you it works. Yeah. So if you can catch Richard's attention, yeah, that's pretty impressive. So.
Yeah. And it's amazing how much feedback we get. I get a lot of phone calls, a lot of people. Oh, I didn't know you guys handled that type of a product. And like, yeah, or we didn't realize that you guys offered that kind of a service. And then there's a lot of people that just didn't even realize that there was a value attached to that product.
Great point.
People get used to in this throwaway society we live in, they get used to having to pay to dispose of that product when they're tired of it, when they're done with it. And I guess that's where the fun comes in for me with the scrap industry is, you bring that product in the door and I get to hand you money. I mean, like, talk about somebody with a shopaholic problem. It's me. There's nothing better than sitting at a desk and handing out $10,000 throughout the day to random people. Yeah, exactly. So anyway, yeah.
Can you delve a bit too? We talk about the recycling part. Can you talk a bit about how that works? Kind of what materials you might do? If it's like do you set up a bin somewhere and come by every once in a while, or is it on a per call basis, or both maybe?
So everything is case by case. There's definitely different tools for different needs. So we just tell people, call somebody like myself or one of our other buyers. We'll go out and take a look at the product. If we're unsure of how we're going to tackle it. But yeah, for a lot of commercial customers and even residential, we have different size containers that we drop off. They fill them up with products. Some customers produce multiple varieties of product. And based on what those are and the quantity that they produce, we'll provide, specific bins for that product. And then they call, we go out, we pick them up, and then bring it back in. We normally exchange them with another container so they can continue on with their process. And then when it gets back to the yard, the crew breaks that product down based on its category. It's ferrous or non-ferrous products, meaning ferrous if it's magnetic, and non-ferrous meaning non-magnetic. So we'll sort through it, and then based on those grades of product and what it was required to go get them and bring them back, then a price or a value is attached to that product, and then we either send a check or the customer comes in and collects cash. So it's pretty straightforward process. We try to keep it simple.
Perfect. So, yeah. So that's basically the main bifurcation.
Yeah.
If you will. It's basically ferrous versus non, and then there's some subcategories, but that's kind of the main, when somebody's talking, what they might be concerned about.
Yeah. So most customers call in on ferrous product, meaning your tin and appliances, which would be your washer, your dryer, your microwave, your old lamp that stands in the corner that has a metal shaft on it. That's all product we bring in. We tell a lot of people, if it has a cord hanging from it and it was a household item, bring it in. We'll cut the copper cord off of it, recycle the rest.
Yeah.
So on the non-ferrous side, you've got your coppers, your brass, your aluminum. And people, I say that, you maybe wonder, well, what's that mean? So you've got copper tubing that would be like your old plumbing in your house.
Yeah.
Air conditioning systems, provide copper tubing in them. They also have an aluminum copper radiator system. They also have that coil or compressor that the oil's in. And so it's amazing. You get a product in, and all of a sudden I can take one piece of product, or the team will take one piece of a product, and I can show you 40 different categories that thing is going to get broke down into before it's sent back off to the final refinery system. So
that's pretty cool. When you were describing it, I hadn't thought about it really, but yeah, like let's say like a motor, for example, and you got the kinks and you got the windings, you got everything, and it's just sort of like instantly almost just disappears in the tray somewhere and goes to live another life.
Correct. And we get, I don't know if it's one of your future questions, but so we really try hard to keep this product domestic when we recycle it. That's one of our key goals as a company is to sell this product in the US. So the bulk of our steel that's purchased goes into Cascade Rolling Mill steel mill there in McMinnville, Oregon. And it's turned into rebar or coil steel. And then part of our trucking company, United Metals, that does the trucking for us, and Oregon Trail Transport out of La Grande, those guys will actually haul that finished product rebar back down to like the Boise Valley. Yeah. So it's kind of cool where the product is recycled in Oregon or in the Northwest in general. It's recycled there. It's shipped into a Northwest facility where it's refined, and then it's shipped right back into the Northwest to be used again. So it never ends.
When you're ripping down the freeway and you see one of those trucks headed the other way with rebar or something on it, you're like, "Hey, buddy." Yeah.
Yep. And then, a lot of our copper goes into Montana. It's a really cool product because it's 100% recyclable. Iron is not 100% recyclable because it creates a slag, which more or less turns into like a gravel that's not usable. They actually use it. I think they use it for roadways. I know we do a bit. We'll use some of it for roadways, but copper is 100% recyclable, and it goes so many places. The copper is used for the tinting of your paints on your walls. They use it. You're ex-Navy. They paint the bottom of ships with the stuff because the coral does not attach to it.
Yeah. That's
so
awesome.
I mean, what was copper wire in an old house or in an old barn in a week or two could be being painted on the bottom of a ship in Florida, and the cycle will continue.
Yeah, so that's a cool thing. I don't think about those things too, but yeah, you can melt copper. Like when you melt it all up, you got just about the same amount of copper. It just keeps on living. That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
I gotta ask you too. What's the craziest or your favorite thing that you've ever taken in or had a chance to work on in the recycling or the scrapping?
Well, I set my personal record, which crazy, definitely along the lines. I hauled in a big old semi truck on a gooseneck trailer, and this was a long time ago. And I'm going to say not affiliated.
Yeah.
But as far as like a favorite scrapping story, I hauled in this truck, and it was a behemoth. Blew 3 tires before I even got to the pavement. I had a D6 cat attached to the front of the pickup on the tow hooks, pulling me up a grade because in low 4, my tires would just sit there and spin. I couldn't even move. And I rolled in, and it was like 30, or no, I wasn't. It's either 38 or like 42,000 pounds with a 3/4 ton pickup, 24-foot gooseneck trailer, and this dumb young scrapper in the driver's seat thinking, oh man, I was making a haul. So that's probably one of the things that's up there. We get to see some pretty cool stuff. I've scrapped some old iron, some old equipment that probably make most people cry. But the story I keep telling myself is, for every one I scrap, the next one's worth that much more. So
beautiful motto. That should be on a coffee mug if it's not. Yeah. That's another one of my questions, because if I had your job, I would have more shit in my backyard, because I'd be buying most of the stuff for me, because I that hoarder gene in me is expressed fully. So how do you resist that?
Well, I'm not without my temptations, and I'm not without my faults in that category. I've always told myself I have the luxury of having, large facilities, acreage, and it's just as cool to look at that product in the scrapyard as it is to look at it in my backyard. Yeah. And I'm at work 5-6 days a week, so it's probably just better left there.
Like surrogate, I can come look at when I want to. I know it's there. I can pet it if I want and go home, but I don't have to fiddle for it with it. So I think you have the best of both worlds there.
Yeah. And I've got a few demolition derby cars that we have laying here on the acreage here at the house, and the wife's still feeding me dinner and seems to keep washing my clothes. At least they smell good. So I think I'm on the up and up.
It's a good start. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like
she lets me
little victories.
When I'm pushing the limits. Yeah. Yep. Yeah. Yep. You can. We've definitely had guys that have worked with us, worked for us, and I've watched them borderline trade paychecks at the end of the month. Mm-hmm. For the product they take home, and that's fine. I mean, to each their own. Everybody's got their own little thing, and I would say scrap metal addiction is probably better than a lot of them out there. So
yeah,
we got a lot of guys that'll trade their paycheck and take something home, and they make more of it. I think you guys kind of hit on that. In your podcast, I only made it through about 20 minutes of it today, but you got into taking some old stuff and putting new motors into it and then selling it for more. And that's what some of the guys do. you know.
I'm sure.
So,
Yeah,
but
it's well positioned when something really, really desirable rolls in the door. Probably some severe paper rock scissors or Indian leg wrestling or something going on to see who gets first dibs. You know, so.
there have been a few of them. Yes.
Yeah, I'm picturing like an
It's
elaborate
normally who
bingo
can get a
system or something.
marker.
What's that?
It's normally who can get the paint pen faster and get out there and put their name on the side of it. So, it's always beneficial if you're the guy running the scale, you get first dibs. But every once in a while, the loader operator will beat you to it when he's unloading it. So when they're holding that up there 20 feet in the air, it's really hard to write your name on it.
Yeah. Possession is 9 cents of the law at that point. So yeah, it's.
Yeah.
Oh, that's got to make some great Christmas parties, I'm sure. Yeah.
That's awesome. So good. I mean, just a dandy.
Oh man. Great questions. You guys, you've answered most everything I had scratched out as far as what people had asked or what Joel's wondering or what my mind went to. I'll give you kind of the last thing to kind of wrap up. If you want to talk about some of your crew a bit more, some of the locations, maybe, again, how people can get a hold of you. Just sort of give you the kind of the big last word if you'd like.
Cool. So, the B&K side of the business, the auto salvage and scrap yards in Oregon, LeGrand and Baker City. As you guys hear on the podcast, we're out there on Highway 203 headed for Union, big blue building and a pretty tore down old wooden metal fence with a bunch of cars behind it. Can't miss us. And then we're over on 17th Street in Baker City, kind of on the old truck route. So nice facility. It's got good signage. Can't miss it either. Both crews are they're 8 to 5 Monday through Friday. We're not open on weekends. And if you can't catch them, but you have a question or you want to look for a part, you can always get on bnkautosalvage.com. Got a great website. Find the tab that interests you, click on it, and it should lead you in the right direction. And you can always leave a message on Facebook, and one of us will get to it and hopefully get back to you. Anybody that's over towards the Idaho side of things, we've got yards in Payette, Idaho, Caldwell, Idaho, Boise, Idaho, Mountain Home, Twin Falls, and Haber. So pretty well covered on the I-84 corridor as you cruise through Idaho between Oregon and Utah. If you need something, we're there to cover you. And then we also have Treasure Valley Pipe Company, which is our culvert pipe company.
Yeah.
That's based out of Caldwell. So if you're in the ditch digging and need some pipe to lay, we got you covered there. So,
how handy. Hey,
man, it's
real quick.
Go ahead.
You max headroomed on us real quick. What's the location after Twin Falls?
Hayburn. Burley, Idaho, Hayburn, Idaho.
Okay, gotcha. Perfect. You kind of had a little glitch in the audio right when you said that name, and I was like, I better circle back to that. Somebody's gonna throw a rock at me. Yeah, Treasure Valley Pipe. I've seen some of your posts on that too.
There's a couple. Yeah, Joe, the pipe sales. And then if you're up in, I guess it would be northeastern Idaho, we have another pipe yard up there in Idaho Falls. And Trent and the guys up there can get you taken care of. So, it's we just got stuff coming out our ears we don't know what to do with. So, if you need something, call us. We can direct you in the right direction. So
that's a great place to be right there. I'll tell you that much. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, hey man, I really appreciate you guys giving us the opportunity to sponsor, and I personally love the podcast. I try to preach it where I can when I can. I'm probably lying half the time, but
So are
hey,
we.
you know what? That's part of the deal. So I was talking to a guy about it the other day, and I'm like, I kind of hated on Joel for a long time, but I'm starting to love him.
Yeah.
So now that I can hear Raleigh, it's getting better. And oh goodness, Richard's coming full swing with his technology.
Oh yeah, and that's the great thing about it. Like
Go
everybody's
ahead.
got such a random background and approach and thoughts and idiosyncrasies. It's just quite the eclectic gang, and so I was so cool and so happy when we all got to be on the same page because I was like the hub that talked to each of those a-holes all the time, and I'm like, we should just do this at the same time and be a lot more entertaining for everybody, just besides me. So yeah, it's been fun to venture. Yeah. And we
I
couldn't
kind of compare our marketing crew to your guys' little crew. We've got the little commie bastard in the corner, and a couple of the over the top reachers, and then that quiet guy that kind of sits back and drops the thunder from time to time. So
it's good diversity. Yeah. And like, we got a nice reacher quorum here. I think we got some success. We're going to get a lot of demographics. So yeah.
Yeah, definitely.
No, we couldn't be prouder to be affiliated with you guys. It's like the perfect fit for where we are, who we are, what we do, who we're talking to, what we're talking about. So yeah, we were super stoked to get the opportunity to work with you guys, and we're so proud of that. So hope we keep earning that from you. And we can't. Yeah, thanks so much for coming on today. It's been way overdue. I'm finally glad we got it. Got her in the books, and we can get this logged, and we'll get this out and running pretty quick. But yeah, if you got any final words before we shut down, I would give those to you, my good sir.
Hey, thanks for letting me come on. If you guys need your auto parts, used auto parts, reach out to the crew there at LeGrand, 541-963-6744, and let them know the Reachers sent you, and they'll definitely hook you up with a discount. Same on you scrap folks. Give them the old reacher discount, or actually it'll be the boost, and see what it does for you. So.
Yeah. Get you the bump. Yeah. So
yeah.
No, outstanding. Both, thank you so much for coming on, and we're so proud to be part of you guys, and we can't wait till the next time we get to bring you on.
Adios.